Okay, well, I'm really glad you're here. Welcome to Amplify. If this is your first time, we're really glad that you're here. It's nice to meet you. Maybe if I haven't met you yet, I'll meet you later. And we'll have some more fun stuff right after service. And I think it's going to be good. I like s'mores. Does anybody else like those? Don't even know what s'mores are. Okay, it's where you melt marshmallows over a fire and that whole thing. Okay, yeah, it's going to be good. So was anybody out there like really competitive? Like, I mean, I saw somebody smack Landon with a ball. That was pretty good. Like, if you missed that, like Coke went all over. I see some really competitive. Hey, AJ, come here for a second. I'm going to use him. Some of y'all probably saw him around. This guy, okay, you think you're competitive. This guy's competitive right here, okay? Like, I know maybe some of you like punch people over Monopoly. I don't know how competitive you are. He's like almost that competitive. So he's really, really competitive. We do stuff. We hang out quite a bit. So we do stuff where we compete against each other. Like we play tennis every week. We play ping pong sometimes. It's been a while. Different things like that. So we like to compete. But I was just thinking about this. So like we played tennis a few hundred times, right? How many times have you won?
I don't want to say.
0. All right, yeah, that's right. I always win, okay? And how many times have you won at ping pong?
I don't want to say again.
0. That's right. I always win. Okay, this is kind of mean. I have the mic, but okay. But there is a downside to this. Okay, how many times have we played basketball? 0, because if I play bet, y'all don't even want to see it. It's bad. Okay, I cannot play, and I know he'll beat me. I mean, he's probably not even very good either, but we're both a couple of short little dudes, okay? But I know he's not going to be good, but he's going to be better than I am, okay? Or how about this? How many times have we raced?
Never. I would kill you.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, he ran in high school. I tried as hard as I could to never run, okay, when I was in school. So, we were very different than that. So I was thinking, all this stuff, I keep beating him, and maybe we should do something fair and have a race. Would that be, I think that would be fair. Like, so maybe he could finally have that. But it would be boring if it was just a race. So I was thinking, you could hold these right here, because we're going to pick those guys up, and I need to get me some weights. Okay, yeah, there we go. All right, so now, he's carrying 100 pounds, I'm carrying 10. If we were to race right now, would this be fair? No, okay.
I still beat him.
I know he wants to try because that's how competitive that he is. And we're not going to because in the rare chance that I lost, I would have to move to like a new town because it would be too embarrassing to ever see anybody that ever saw that again. But here's why I brought him up and embarrassed him a little bit was because I was thinking about this. I think that a lot of us, and sometimes me included, we're kind of doing our life and it's like we've got something like that in our hands. And it seems like, do you ever just feel like there's a weight on you? Like there's something you want to do, you want to like accomplish something, you want to get somewhere, and there's just something weighing you down. And if you tried to race, you're going to be like this, and it's going to be, you can feel it in your joints after a while. I like kind of making him hold 100 pounds for a really long time. Okay, but what we need to learn to do, and I'm going to actually try to help you do, is to set the weights down. I want to help you to set the weights down in your life. And so I think that all of us sometimes are carrying a weight of something. And I want to talk about a specific one because it's the weight that I hear, well, I think it's universal. I think every single person deals with it at some point, okay? And that is just that weight of stress on your life. And men, you're getting towards like the end of the semester soon, maybe, I don't know, whenever that is, okay? And that weight of all the stuff you got to do and all that. I don't know if you ever just feel stressed out, feel anxiety, feel all that. I want to talk about that. And in fact, to do that, I brought like the biggest illustration I've ever done, okay? So I got this huge board, and I want to demonstrate to you what this might kind of look like in your life because I think that stress holds some of you back. And you like could be accomplishing something. You might have dreams. You have things you want to do. Maybe you just want to be happy. And that little thing, that stress is what's keeping you. So let me just show you. I don't know if you've kind of noticed, but sometimes life just, it has things that stress you out. Sometimes they're little things. Okay, I don't know if little things stress you out. Sometimes it's little, like maybe, how many of you drive? Anybody drive, right? And then here, you know what's been happening? Gas prices have been going up, right? And you start to maybe if you have to pay for your own gas, what that begins to do, this is going to put a little stress on this board. Or, maybe you don't drive yet, okay? And the problem with you, though, is every time you ask your parents to take you somewhere, they're like, I can't do it right now, right? And then there starts to build up just a little stress, okay? Not too much, just a little stress. And then maybe there's some bigger things that happen in your life, like, I don't know. You got in a relationship, and sometimes those things, maybe it was great for you, but some of you know what I'm talking about. There was a relationship, and it was like really stressful in your life, and maybe you had some friends that you heard were talking behind your back and doing all that, and that started to stress you out just a little bit. Do you see how the board it's stressing here? Okay, you know what I'm talking about? And then, I don't know, so things going good, and then something's going to happen. It's going to be like finals time, and your teachers are going to start to give you I'm a little scared. We're going to start to give you some homework and like a whole bunch of stuff. And then like every now and then there's just like way too much all at once. And then you woke up one morning and you realized the paper was due, right? And all of that. And so there was a little bit more. Woo. Okay, and then there was something that happened last year. I forget, what was that called? COVID-19, yeah. All right, and that was kind of a stress. And so, toes. Watch the toes. Okay, now, whenever these things happen in your life, it's like, have you ever heard of a stress fracture? Like when somebody like runs a lot, they get like a stress fracture in the feet. Because when the stress happens, it can cause, I don't know if you can, sometimes just cracks a little bit. And this was like, for a lot of us, all kinds of things got canceled, and there was all of this stress in my life. Woo! It did not support that in all of my testing. I am not going to go underneath to grab the other one, but then I don't know what is happening in your life that might be causing you some stress. Some of you, this is stressing you out. Like right now, you're like, I am so tired of this visual. Okay, all right, let's see. Okay. And then something finally came in your life, and let's see. There is so much weight on here. Okay. That was cool. All right. Have you ever felt like this? Okay, I don't know if you've ever felt like this. I have totally felt like this in my life, where there was just so much pressure on me and so much stress. Eventually, you crack, okay? Eventually, you fracture. Now, I know that the fracturing looks different in everybody's life, okay? For some of you, it just means you can't go to sleep at night, okay? For some of us, it's just like a sadness or whatever. For some of us, there's, I don't know, just that feeling, overwhelming feeling. Sometimes it gets worse. Sometimes that fracture, it causes you to like, have you ever like yelled at somebody and later you're like, why did I yell at them? Okay, it was because of this, okay? Sometimes it causes us to hurt people we care about. Sometimes it leads to self-harm or thoughts of suicide and those kind of things. And so the stress that can fractures can cause all kinds of problems, and the problems would be different for every single person in here. But what we all do is we have stress. And I need to work out. I'm like really out of breath from like, from those weights. Okay, I do work out. I need to work out more. Okay, anyways, like we have the stress and the stuff in our life that causes that. So now I know maybe you're going, okay, I'm not fractured, okay, but I just do want to think about this just a little bit, and I'm not going to break anymore, all right? So don't start stressing, okay? I don't need y'all all stressed out tonight. Even if you're not stressing to the point of breaking, okay? I don't think that we need to live our life. I'm just going to put a little bit, just a little bit. Okay, like this. I mean, like, even if you're not to the point of breaking, to where it's just this constant weight on yourself. And if you know what I'm talking about, it's just like you kind of go through your day and you just feel this weight. Or maybe it's when you lay down in bed at night and you just feel a weight. And we don't need to live like that, okay? And there's a way that you don't have to. And I want to help you overcome that, okay? So what I want to talk about is this, okay? When pressure comes, what to do. Okay, when pressure comes, because this is going to happen. There is no way I can tell you that you're never going to have pressure. You're going to have pressure, but by the end of the night, you're going to know how to do this. You're going to know how to have pressure and not be stressed. It's possible to have things in your life that aren't going well and not be stressed out, to have pressure without stress. So I'm going to give you 3 things. We're going to do them really fast. I'm going to give you 3 metaphors with the wood, okay? Because it's really big, and we're going to look at it all night. So 3 metaphors, and I'm going to give you 3 questions to go with those that are more practical on what you do when pressure comes, how you handle stress, how you overcome stress, and how you beat it in your life. And these things, I think, will help you literally for the rest of your life. So it's a good thing you're learning them now and not later, okay? So when pressure comes in your life, here's the first thing. You got to take some weight off. I know that may sound a little bit obvious, okay? But when there is pressure, sometime what you got to do is just take some weight off. There is maybe some things in your life that you need to take off. It could be, I don't know, some of you are already starting to deal with some financial problems, some financial stresses, or you maybe say this, I don't have any time. I'm stretched too thin. Have you ever heard someone say that? I'm stretched too thin. It sounds like a rubber band, right? You take a rubber band and you pull it, or maybe they say, money's tight right now. Right? And that you pull that rubber band, and that's a stress term. It gets stressed. If it goes too far, it could pop, right? But you say that, and you feel that way with your time, you're just overwhelmed and just whatever. And so sometimes what we need to do is just find some stuff to take off. Let's find some stuff that we can take off. In fact, the question that I might ask that goes along with that is this. When pressure comes, you ask this, is there some weight I can take off? Is there something I can get rid of? Sometimes it's super practical, and we just never even ask the question. You're so stressed out about your time, and there is something in your life that you could quit. And like you could get rid of, and if you got rid of that, your time would open up. There's something maybe in your life you get, sometimes it's a relationship. I knew a guy one time, he was so stressed out about his relationship all the time. He was just, every time I saw him, he was just almost like, even though someone was just stressed out about the relationship. And I was like, why don't you get out of the relationship? He was like, I can't, I don't know. And he wouldn't do it. And finally, one day, he ended the relationship. And you know what I saw the next time I saw him? All this weight had come off because he took some pressure off. So sometimes we just need to ask this question, what can I take off? What can I get rid of? Now, it's not always that easy because we can't take off all of the stresses, right? Like you can't just decide, you know what? Done with high school. Done. Like not going back. It's removed. I took it off. You go home, Mom, the preacher said I had to take off the stuff that stressed me. No more. I'm moving out. I'm tired of you. Right? It's like, oh yeah, I'm 14 and have no money, no job. Okay, I'm coming back home. Can I please sleep in my bed? Okay. And I understand, like we can't just take everything off and that kind of thing. So there's more to it than that. There's a real practical side to this, but maybe there's a little bit more a spiritual side to this. And this is what I believe is that Jesus actually wants to take your stress. That he actually wants to take your anxiety. And the reason I think that is because there was a guy named Peter who was with Jesus. He saw Jesus die on a cross, and then even cooler than that, later saw him alive again. And he later wrote a letter, and we still have a copy of that letter. And this is one of the things that he said. He said this, cast all your anxiety on him, talking about Jesus, because he cares for you. And this is what he says, when you have anxiety and you have things that are pressuring you and stressing your life, what you need to do is to cast that on him. Some of us are carrying things that we're meant to cast. You're holding on to some stuff that you're meant to give to somebody else, and that somebody else is Jesus. And some things in our life we just need to cast. Okay, I stressed you out. I'm sorry. That would have really no. I'm not gonna do that. We need to cast it. That's too heavy. But we need to throw it onto him and let him have it. All right. We need to let him carry it. You go. Somebody has to carry it. Right? Not you. He will. Now, I also realize that that's not necessarily the most practical advice ever because, what do? You're in your bed at night and you're like overwhelmed. And you're like, okay, casting it on Jesus. like what do you do? Okay, cast it. I get a fishing pole. I don't even know, how does this work with the casting thing? So let me give you a little bit more practical on how that looks like. And this is from another passage, and this one's in Isaiah. It says, you will keep, talking to God, you will keep in perfect peace. Does that sound like stress? No. Perfect peace, those whose minds are stayed on you because they trust in you. Minds are stayed. What that means is that I focus my mind, I intentionally stay my mind, focus my mind, put my mind on my trust in Jesus. That I look to him and I say, God, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I know that you have a plan for my life and I trust you. I don't know how this is going to do, but I'm going to trust you. And you're just laying there in bed and the stress is all there and you intentionally cast it on Jesus. You stay your mind on him. And when that happens, there is a peace that comes. Now, I know this is going to be a stretch for some of you, especially if you don't really have a relationship with God right now. But what I want you to know is that this is available. And that if you begin a relationship with God, this is something that you can begin to experience. When you are overwhelmed, that there is somebody that you can cast it on. But even those who maybe been Christians for a really, really long time, this is something you have to continually do. I remind myself of this every single time I'm stressed out. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not supposed to be carrying this. I'm supposed to cast this. And I purposely stay my mind on him. So the first thing that we do is we ask, is there a way that I can take off? Maybe it's practical. Maybe it's just a literal thing that you need to say, I'm not going to do that anymore. That's done. Or maybe we make it a little bit more like what the verse said, to cast it on him. And is there a weight I can cast off? Is there something I need to give to Jesus? That's the first one. Here's the second one. When pressure comes, you need to strengthen your boards. You need to make your boards stronger. And I'll demonstrate that in a second. But I think that sometimes we get this idea that especially Christians that have been in church a lot, that you shouldn't have any stress if you're a Christian. There's no pressure in your life. You shouldn't have no problems. And that's just not true. In fact, let me show you a little passage really quick that shows this, and it's right here, and it's in 1 Corinthians chapter 10. It says, no temptation, by the way, that's not like I'm on a diet and I saw ice cream and I was tempted. Okay, that's not what I'm talking about. It's like a trial, no test. No, it's a temptation, but it's that kind of, it's no trial, no temptation has overtaken you except what is common to man. Now, first of all, I want to say this. Your stress is common. And sometimes you feel like you're all alone and you're the only person that's struggling. I want you to know you are not alone. It's common. And those trials, the temptations that we have, they're common. He goes on and he says this, and God is faithful. He will not let you be tempted, tested, trials beyond what you can bear. And now that's a weight thing. That's a stress thing. He's not going to let you be tested beyond what you're going to be able to hold, what you're going to be able to bear. And then he goes on and he says this, but when you are tempted, he will also provide a way out so that you can endure it. In other words, so that you don't end up looking like this, okay? He's gonna find a way that you're gonna endure it and you're not gonna be the broken one, you're gonna stand strong. So what we need to do is we need to strengthen our boards. And there's a lot of ways that happens in our lives. One of the ways that God has given us to strengthen our boards is that he created something called the church. Something that is supposed to be a community of believers, a community of Christ followers that come in our life and they strengthen us. And you come along some other people who believe like you and will strengthen you when you're going through a hard time. They'll pray with you. And when you just feel completely overwhelmed, they'll give you perspective. They gave us things like worship. I know sometimes we just think of it as singing, but it's much more than that. And if you really learn to worship, something happens in your heart during worship. Some of you have experienced this. In fact, it's one of those things I can't really explain. I can only hope that you experience. That if you someday when you're dealing with a really hard, stressful, pressure situation, if you worship, that God will do something in your heart. And it's like the weight was there, but there wasn't near as much stress. There wasn't near as much pressure. There was still the weight, but you had something stronger inside of you. And then there's something else. I'm supposed to grab these. There's something else that God does. And this is what happens when we have the Holy Spirit in our lives. So the Holy Spirit, he produces peace inside of us. And if you'll learn to listen to him, and when you're dealing with stress, you'll begin to say, Holy Spirit, I need your strength. This is what he does. Okay, you ready? Now, check this out. It doesn't matter how much weight I put on top of it. Okay, earlier, I'm not going to take the time to put it all on here. I've put all of the weight that I had, and it had no problems. I didn't even use both 50s. Yeah, I did. But anyways, okay, is the board bending? Is it stressing? It is not even at all. So it can hold so much more than what I can put up here because it's turned right, okay? And when you have God in your life and the Holy Spirit in your life strengthening you, you can withstand so much more than you ever could on your own. So, strengthen your boards. Here's the question that you want to ask. When pressure comes, you ask, how can I strengthen my faith? What do I do? What can I do that will strengthen my faith? Did you realize you are literally strengthening your faith right now? Like you are strengthening your boards right now by being here because you are learning about how God works. And that's one of the things that we do every week. That is a way that you can. Being involved in a youth group and in a church, finding times to learn your Bible and to be with other Christians and things. How can you strengthen your faith? When you begin to see stress in your life, that is an opportunity to look at yourself and go, how can I strengthen my faith? And then we get to the last one. When pressure comes, reshape your boards. So I can't do it with these because it takes a really long time, but what happens they do with wood sometimes is they'll put it in like a steam box or they'll soak it in oil and different things and they can make it pliable. So where they can, like this was a straight board, they can begin to twist a board and shape a board. In fact, here's an example. This is one piece of wood that they made the most uncomfortable chair probably ever made, but that they bent that one piece of wood, right? And instead, if it wasn't shapeable, if they hadn't put it in the steam box, it would have just cracked and snapped right in half. But because of that, they were able to shape it. And so what we have to do is be shapeable. And sometimes we have to reshape our boards. So when I was in college, I was my junior and senior year, I was the drum major for our marching band. And this was it was a really big deal at that school. Some schools it's not, some it isn't. But in the music department, that was like the highest position that like a student could have. And so me and one other guy were drum majors. And we we had a really great, reputation and things with the leaders in the school and that. And so one day we went on a trip with the marching band to Oklahoma City, and we were performing there and all that. And we get there, and we're getting off of the bus, and the assistant director gets on and he goes, so we have all these things, you need to know tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, oh, and by the way, curfew tonight is at 11. And we kind of looked at each other, and we're like 22. Like, I haven't had a curfew in 5 years. Like, what is he even talking about, a curfew? And so whatever. And so we didn't even think about it again. We went and we're hanging out with friends, and I was hanging out with some friends, and there was a couple cute girls there. And so we're all just hanging out, and 11 o'clock came around. And I remember specifically, I looked at the other guy, I was like, it's 11. He was like, yeah, it's 11. I'm like, okay. Well, about 2 o'clock, we decided to go back to our hotel room. And so we're walking back, and one of the directors looked out the window, right, sees us. And the next day, our performance actually went really bad, which made it even worse because they were really ticked about that. And so, I'll never forget this moment. I'm standing there, and it's me and the other drum major, and it's the head director, assistant director, and the percussion director. I was a percussionist. And they are red in the face, yelling. One of them is cussing, and they're saying things like, we're going to try to pull your scholarships. We're going to not give you recommendations for jobs, and we don't even know what else we're going to do. And they were just mad, okay? Now, I was stressed out because I didn't know if they were going to pull the money. I was going to go on all these problems and all that. I mean, I had all kinds of stress, and immediately I knew what to do. The first thing I did when I got by myself was I began to cast it off on him, to try to just pray and ask the Lord to help me. I've got people around me to strengthen me. But right in the middle of that, something happened. I felt like the Holy Spirit said to me something. And sometimes this is an amazing thing. When you begin to walk with him, he just talks to you. Not out loud, it wasn't weird. But I just felt inside my spirit, I was like, why did you do that? And not because there was cute girls there, why? But why would you ruin your reputation with these professors? Why would you disobey authority when you never do that? What was it that made that happen? And all of a sudden there was just this why. And I began to say, well, I don't know why. And then I felt like the Holy Spirit dealt with me and said, you've got some issues with pride, that you think you were bigger than that, and issues with authority, and you need to deal with that. And what happened when I realized God wanted to reshape me in that moment. He wanted to change something in me. He was using the stress to shape me and change me. And so sometimes when we're in the middle of pressure, we're in the middle of that thing, we need to say this: God, what do you want? How do you want to change me? God, how do you want to change me? And if you'll ask that, a lot of the times you will hear something from him, and he may want to do something in you. So here's the things. When pressure comes, you ask these questions. Now, I hope that you'll write these down, take your phone, take a picture of them in a minute, whatever it is, and remember these, because I don't know when the stress will come, when the pressure will come, but these are a tool that you can use in your life to ask these questions. But I do want to end with this one thought. There's something that all of these require, that all of these need in order for them to really work in your life. And that is a meaningful, real relationship with Jesus. Because when you have that, you have somebody that you can cast those on. When you have that, you have somebody that is strengthening you on the inside. That when the pressure's there, he is there to strengthen you and to make you stronger. That you have a community of other believers that are doing the same thing and strengthening you. And it's in that relationship that you can figure out how that you're meant to change through that. So, I don't know where you're at with your stress. And I want to believe that tonight some of that stress is going to come off. And as we end, what we do is we end with just a very short time of prayer. It's going to be 1 or 2 minutes. And during that time, there will be some people in the very back of the room. They'll be standing facing you. And if you need prayer for stress in your life, you got this pressure, you got this anxiety, look, we all deal with it. During that time, what I would ask you to do is to go and pray with somebody. You go to the back, it's real easy. You just say, I need prayer for whatever it is. Or you can just say, I'm stressed out. And they'll pray with you. And this is what we'll believe. That you'll get strengthened in that time. Maybe some of you will cast some stuff off during that time, and you may even immediately feel just a little lighter, a little less pressure. But if you don't know Jesus, maybe you just don't have a relationship with him, I want you to know this, that you can begin one tonight. And then the peace that he gives, the joy that he gives, the stuff that he does in your life, then it's available to you. And I want that for you. So before we stand and we're going to sing part of a song and have prayer, I'd like us to could you just close your eyes? This is just to look inside your own heart, okay? This is to ignore everybody else and just think to yourself. Are you dealing with some stress? Would you be able to cast that on him tonight? if you would say, hey, I don't really know Jesus, I don't really have a relationship with him, and I want to get to know him, this is how it happens. If you will put your trust in him, to believe that he loves you, he died for you, that begins that relationship with him. It's the beginning of something great where you'll begin a life of him guiding you and directing you. If you would like to do that, if you would like to begin a relationship or maybe renew one, you've known God, but you've been away, you've been just doing your own thing and you want to say, hey, I need to recommit my life to God. I want to pray with you. And so if that's you and you're saying, hey, I just want you to pray for me. I want to believe that I'm going to pursue God again. Could you just lift your hand so I can see it to know who to pray for? If you're far from God and you want prayer for that, would you just lift your hand? Thank you. Yeah. Awesome. You can put your hands down. If you lifted your hand or you were going to lift your hand and didn't, I want to encourage you to just repeat this to yourself. You don't have to pray out loud, just to yourself. Just say, Father, thank you for your son. Thank you for Jesus. I ask that you would lead me and guide me. I give you my life, Lord. Thank you for dying for me. I ask you to be my Lord. In Jesus' name, amen. What we're going to do right now is we're about to stand and we're going to sing part of a song. And if you need prayer, if you need prayer for stress, you need prayer for something going on in your life, or if you just prayed that prayer, I want to encourage you also to go to the back and let somebody pray with you. Just tell them what you prayed, and they'll pray with you. All right, Father, I thank you love us. I pray that you would help anyone who's dealing with a weight. In Jesus' name, amen.